Assalamu alaikum, Chatoristan. Nami Ma Jay asked. I was just speaking Dari, which is the primary language of Afghanistan. And translated into English, it means, hello, how are you? My name is Jay. Now, when you first think of Afghanistan, what's the first few things that pop to your mind? Desert, war, poverty, or even terrorism? Well, some of these aspects are true about Afghanistan, but as I'm already going to take the next few minutes to inform you, there's more to Afghanistan than meets the eye. Prior to coming over here to country, I spent 2 months in intensive training on Afghan culture, and now I've been over here for 4 months, and I get the privilege to interact with Afghans on a daily basis. To fully inform you about Afghanistan, I want to tell you about 3 things: its history, its geography, and its culture. To best start off, I'll talk about its history. Afghanistan has primarily been a country that's been at war for most of its existence. In 328 BC, Alexander the Great came in and invaded from Greece. Following his invasion, the Indians had a heavy influence in Afghanistan and brought Buddhism up until 652. In 652, the Arabs invaded from modern-day Iran and introduced Islam. Following this, in the 13th century, Genghis Khan came and invaded, and as his influence faded, Afghanistan fell into many small kingdoms until 1774, when Ahmed Shah Durrani united Afghanistan as one, but had a heavy influence of the British due to the Silk Road. Then, in 1893, Abraham Khan battled the British and gained an independent Afghanistan. And then, in 1879, the Soviet Union invaded and tried occupying the country until 1989. Following this invasion and the Soviet withdrawal, Afghanistan was in a state of civil war until 1995, when the Taliban seized power and introduced their harsh laws, as we all know. Following the attacks on September 11, 2001, the United States and coalition partners came in, invaded Afghanistan, and instilled democracy. Now that you know a brief history of Afghanistan, let's look how its history has influenced its geography, both physically and politically. Now, this is a picture of Afghanistan prior to 1983, or 1893, excuse me. And as you can see, it touches the Indian Ocean, which it does not do today. And this is because of the Durand Line. The Durand Line was an agreement signed between the British and the Afghans in 1893 that gained Afghan independence. However, as you can see here, it lost its territory touching the Indian Ocean. Now, this is a picture of modern Afghanistan. As you can see, it's very familiar from what we learned about in school and the news, and it has the longest borders with Pakistan and Tajikistan. Afghanistan is roughly 260,000 square miles, about the size of Texas. It is dominated by irrigated land, fertile river valleys, deserts, high plateaus, and snow-capped mountains reaching up to 24,000 feet. As you can see, this is a very diverse geography, which in turn means that it has a diverse climate. In the east, it's heavily influenced by the Indian monsoons and can be very humid at times. In the north, in the winters, it's subarctic with mild temperatures in the summers. And then in the south and southwest, you have your stereotypical desert with summer temperatures reaching as high as 120 degrees. Now that we know a little bit about the geography of Afghanistan, let's look at the culture. But before we get into the culture, we need to settle one fact, and that's Afghans versus Afghani. An Afghan is a person of Afghanistan. An Afghani is their form of currency. Calling an Afghan an Afghani is the equivalent of a foreigner coming to America and calling you a dollar. Doesn't make sense, and it would leave you confused. As we all know, Afghanistan is a nation of Islam. Islam has such a heavy influence, in fact, that the official name of Afghanistan is the Government of the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan. And according to the CIA World Book, Afghanistan is made up of 80% Sunni, 19% Shia Muslims, and 1% of other. Also, with its religion, Afghanistan has a diverse group of ethnic groups, but the majority being Pashto. As you can see in the map, the Pashto is highlighted by yellow here. Now, it hasn't always been like this. In an attempt to unify the country, Abraham took all the smaller ethnic groups at the time and moved them all into the center and surrounded them by Pashto people in an effort that in hopes that they would assimilate, which they did, and now you have a Pashto-dominated country. Now that we know a little bit about their ethnic groups, let's look at some of their social norms that they have. In Afghanistan, they really don't have a concept of personal space. When you're conversating with them, it's not uncommon for them to be very close to you, making many Westerners uncomfortable. And as your relationship develops, you'll find that they like to hold your hand and have your arm around them. And also, when you greet them, you'll be greeted with hugs and kisses on the cheeks. And also, in addition to being a very close society, they also have a great sense of hospitality. It's when you first meet an Afghan, it's very common for them to offer you chai, which is their tea. It's very good, and you'll spend many a time sitting there talking with the Afghans about your family and about your personal life prior to talking about business. Now, as your relationship develops, you'll be invited to eat with them. Now, they don't eat traditionally on a table like us Westerners do. What they do is they'll eat on the ground out of community dishes that are served on a serving cloth. Now that we know a little bit about their culture, let's look at everything we talked about today. Today we talked about the history, the geography, and the culture of Afghanistan. With this information, I hope that you learn a little bit more about a country that we've been involved with for the past 12 years. Tashakor, Allah Hafez. Thank you and goodbye.